So I just watched the Denver Nuggets get held to 70 points by the Minnesota Timberwolves. And as crazy as that is, and as crazy as that whole series has been, what I'm really here to talk about right now is the Dallas Mavericks. So now, just the other day, the Dallas Mavericks won Game 5 against the Thunder, taking a 3-2 series lead. And perhaps the most glaring thing in that game, other than Derrick Jones Jr., was Luka finally playing like Luka Doncic in this series. Now, this whole series, he's been playing beat up, he's looked slow, he's looked uncomfortable out there, he's been complaining the whole time. Well, that's not really out of the ordinary, he kind of does that all the time. Except in Game 5. Game 5, he surprisingly didn't complain at all. Well, he might have like one time, like barely, but it was a noticeable difference. The way he was playing, the energy that he was there to focus on basketball, and it really just worked out well in the Mavericks' favor. But Luka wasn't the only positive for the Mavs in this game. As I mentioned before, Derrick Jones Jr. had a really good game. He was perfect from the field, going 6 of 6 in the first half, and then finishing the game with 19 points, 15 of those being in the first half. And if you were watching the game, you feel like he should have an extra 3, because also in the first half, they swung the ball to him, and I don't remember if they called an illegal screen or if Derrick Jones's foot was on the line, but as soon as he caught it, he put up the ball and like swished a 3, and you thought he was on fire, but then they waved that basket off, and that was kind of an energy killer for me, at least. But still, he had a great game. And in this series, PJ Washington has been a huge player for the Mavericks. In the previous 3 games before Game 5, he was leading the team in scoring, and I think he only finished this game with 10 points. But in the third quarter, when the Mavericks offense was starting to cool down, he gave them a quick 5 points to give them that boost and really got them back on track. We even saw a player like Jaden Hardy contribute, who really hasn't gotten any playing time at all in this series other than a few garbage minutes at the end of games. But he got minutes that actually mattered, and he played fairly well in them. Now, you might look at his shooting line. He only went 1 for 5 from the field, but he was playing with a lot of energy out there, and pretty quick getting in the game, he threw a nice lob, and it looked like he was working well in the flow of the offense. But as much as I wish it could be, not everything was positive, and I just want to talk about something that really grinded my gears, per se. So, in the fourth quarter, the Mavericks were up by 18. And very quickly that lead shrunk to 9 in the span of like 3 plays. So the first play, and just for context, Tim Hardaway was in the game, who I love, but this definitely was not his moment. They double Luka. The ball finds Tim Hardaway because he's the open man, and he takes a pull-up elbow jumper, which, that's probably the shot that the Thunder want the Mavericks to take in that situation. But also, you can't really fault him. That's a decent shot. It's a decent look. He missed it. He just happened to miss it. What are you going to do? It's not the end of the world, right? But he misses it, and the Thunder take it, convert a basket on the other side. Okay. But then, next play, they double-team Luka. Ball finds Tim Hardaway again. He's dribbling towards the baseline, and he just, forgets to catch the ball when it's coming back up, bouncing off the ground, and it goes up in the air, and then that's a turnover. Thunder take it the other way, convert a basket. And I can't describe how mad I was at Tim Hardaway in this moment. Not I love Tim Hardaway, but in that moment I was dying. I was like, we can't lose the game like this. And then the next play comes around. Double Luka. No, not double Luka. Luka drives to the basket, gets in floater range, has what I think is a pretty good look at throwing up a little floater, but then at the last second decides, no, I'm going to throw it to Tim in the corner, and in my head I was like, all right, this is where Tim can make up for it. He's going to drill this corner 3, and it's all going to be good. But no, he airballs it, and then the Thunder take it the other way and score. So now this was like an 8-point swing or 7, I don't remember how many points exactly it was, but this was like a huge swing and a momentum thing for the Thunder. And I was like, oh my gosh, get Derrick Jones back in this game right now. Which luckily the Mavericks did. Well, I don't know about luckily. Thankfully, they put Derrick Jones Jr. back in, and the Mavericks were able to kind of keep the Thunder off. The Thunder, they tried, Shea is an insane shot maker. It seems like there's no shot he can't make. It's crazy. There's no stopping him when he's on. Also, J-Dub kind of came alive there at the very end. He had a dunk that got the crowd going in OKC. Didn't have a great game overall, but he looked good late in the game. He was trying to get his team back in the game. The Thunder even tried to do the hack-a-Lively again a little bit. They only did it once. Fouled Lively off the ball with a little over 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. After the 2-minute mark, they can't do it anymore. But they did it, and he netted both free throws, so that was big. That was a really big momentum thing for the Mavericks, I think, in my mind. Which, usually you're not thinking, okay, made free throws, that's not really a big play. But the way that they've been doing this hack-a-Lively, hack-a-Shack thing, and then he makes both free throws, that's to me, that's a huge energy play in a weird sort of way. So now the Mavericks have Game 6 at home. If they win Game 6, they move on to the Western Conference Finals. And it's kind of weird. A strange part of me almost feels like the Mavericks play better on the road in the playoffs. I don't know if that's actually true, and I'm not going to look up stats to prove that. But remember that Clippers series with Luka against the Clippers? Not the one this year, but I think it was 3 years ago now, where a home team didn't win until Game 7. So, I don't know. It just almost feels like the Mavericks prefer to play on the road in the playoffs. But I still like that we're going into Game 6 having home court advantage. I think that'll matter at least a little bit. And in general, I think the Mavericks have outplayed the Thunder in this series. But you do also have to be concerned. The Thunder were the number 1 seed for a reason. Some of their guys really haven't gotten it going this series. And there's always that chance that they'll get it going and they'll show why they were the number 1 seed and play a really good game and force a Game 7. Now, personally, I'm locking in my pick. I'm picking the Mavericks for Game 6. I kind of have to. But this is the NBA playoffs. Anything could happen. As much as the momentum seems to be swinging the Mavericks' way, this is a great Thunder team that could immediately take that momentum back, as we've seen in the Denver and Minnesota series. Minnesota got off with 2 wins, and we were like, oh man, it might be over for Denver. And then they win 3 straight, and people are counting out Minnesota. And then they come back with this crazy game that for me was today, where they hold Denver to 70 points. And it's just because one team dominates a team one game doesn't mean the other team can't outplay them in another one. So we always have to keep that in mind and not get too ahead of ourselves with these predictions, But yeah, so assuming the Mavericks can close out this series, that means they'll be going to the Western Conference Finals against either Denver or Minnesota. We'll see who wins Game 7 of that series. And that begs the question of who does Dallas match up better with? Now, either way, it's going to be a tough series. These are both really great teams, top 3 seeds in the Western Conference. And you don't love to see either of them there. Minnesota has great defense. They are the best defensive team in the league, and it shows when they play. The Mavericks also have really good defense, so then it might just come down to a who can get more on offense going kind of thing. And if we get into that kind of battle, I like the Mavericks' chances. But, maybe that defense might be a little too much at times. But then on the flip side against the Nuggets, I think while their defense might not be as big of a threat as the Timberwolves is for the Mavericks, I don't see the Mavericks slowing down Jokic at all. And I think Dallas could definitely take a game or 2 away from Denver. But in a 7-game series, I have a hard time seeing Jokic losing to the Mavericks in a 7-game series. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's possible, especially if Luka's playing at the top of his game. But honestly, I just don't see I don't see Jokic losing 4 games out of 7 to the Mavericks. I don't see that as a highly likely outcome, which is why I kind of lean towards wanting to face the Timberwolves. I think if both teams are playing defense at a high level, obviously Minnesota has an edge on defense. They are a better defensive team than Dallas, but Dallas is playing really good defense right now. They've been playing great defense since the trade deadline, and I love what they're doing. And if it comes down to who can generate more offense, this kind of battle, while both teams are playing great defense, I kind of lean towards the Mavericks, assuming Luka is healthy. If Luka's not feeling it, if he's banged up and can't really get it going, then, we might be in trouble. But if it basically comes down to who can generate more buckets, Anthony Edwards or Luka, I'll take Luka, because not only is Luka elite at putting the ball in the basket, he's also elite at finding his guys and getting them open shots. Not that Anthony Edwards can't do that at all, but he's nowhere near the level of Luka of getting his teammates open shots. So yeah, that's all I really had for you guys. The Mavericks might have a decent lane, depending on how things shake out, to hopefully make a finals appearance. And if they're playing the Celtics, which they probably will be, or whatever team makes it will probably be playing the Celtics, I think the Celtics might be in trouble if Porzingis isn't playing, or if Porzingis isn't really healthy. I think the Celtics' key to winning a championship will be Porzingis. Not that he's the most important player on the team, obviously Jason Tatum is, but I just have a hard time seeing them beat any of these 3 or 4 teams in the West without a healthy Porzingis. Well, maybe they could beat the Thunder. I don't know. Getting too far ahead of myself. We'll just have to wait and see. But Porzingis' health is a really big deal for the Celtics. But anyways, yeah, before I go off on too many tangents, I think I'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. If you're not subscribed, maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss the next video. It really helps me out and I appreciate it. But anyways, yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Peace.